What's up, Blue Jay fans? Rob Scott again from the Jay Talking Podcast. I missed their game recap last night, so I just wanted to spit out some thoughts on the Blue Jays season overall, really, more than just doing a game recap today. So where are we? We're 29 and 26. 4 games back of the lead behind Boston. Just 2 games back now of Baltimore. We're 500 at home. We're better on the road, 15 and 12. And we're up to a plus 15 differential. So everything is trending in the right direction. We should see a rebound in the road record at 14 and 14. So what are the strengths and weaknesses? I like to pick apart the problems and the issues, and that's just more my personality. That's not me trying to be negative. I work best when I see a problem. I can pick it apart and reposition it to be better. So I'm always drawn towards finding what the mistakes are first and then building upon it. So, what jumps to mind when I think about the issues the Blue Jays have? I would say the bullpen. Now, we're looking at a 3.74 ERA out of the pen, which is not bad. It's 13th in the league overall. And you know what? For the season, that's doable. If we can maintain that just with what we have, I think that's fine. Though I think the bullpen can get better. But where I think it is not fine is once we get into the playoffs, if we do get into the playoffs. I mean, I don't think any of you, like me, would really feel confident going into a playoff run with Jesse Chavez, Gavin Floyd, and these sort of pieces coming out of the bullpen in 7th and 8th inning. We're not sturdy enough. We're not stable enough yet in that pen. Jason Grilli, he was a low risk, high reward depth move, but he's a 39-year-old who's having a tough season, and he's not the answer either. We don't know what Cecil. I feel like I know what Cecil's going to be when he comes back. He gets over his injury. He's going to play more to his mean averages, and I think Drew Storen is showing that he's pitching better and he's going to be okay. Roberto Osuna, of course, is a stud. So that's not an issue. I'm happy with those 3. Joe Biagini right now is pitching very well, but he's a rookie. You can love what he's doing, and every once in a while a rookie pans out, but most of the time they don't. He's going to go through a bump in the road, and he's going to feel the pains of being a major league rookie, and we don't want that in the playoffs. As I said, right now, looking at things as they are in the season, the bullpen might be fine. They have the most losses in the league. They're 7 and 14. We have the 6th most blown saves. And our save percentage is awful. So there are very real problems in that pen. Despite the 3.74 ERA, which is doable, there are real issues. I think that are being masked right now. And I love the streak that we're on, 11 and 3. But let's be honest about that. We're, other than Boston, during that streak, we haven't played a quality opponent. Okay? The Minnesota Twins are not a quality opponent. The New York Yankees this season are not a quality opponent. They're only 4 games under 500, but if we're in tough against the Yankees, then forget the playoffs because we're not making it. Okay, let's not consider the Yankees a a high-quality opponent. They may be a decent or decent to toughish matchup, but they're not a quality opponent that we need to measure ourselves against. We need to measure ourselves against the Baltimores, the Royals, the White Sox, teams of these natures, the league leaders. So our 11-3 is very nice, but it's not, let's see us go head-to-head against some really tough opponents 3-4 in a row and see where we come out then. On the road, maybe out west. Let's take on Texas. Let's take on the Mariners. Let's beat them as we've been beating teams now in the 4 straight series wins and see where we come out at that point. But until then, this is great to see the 11-3 record, but I'm not buying in yet. And that's not to be negative. I think that's just facing reality of where's the quality opponent been since this rebound? Other than Boston, it's not been there. So, the starting staff is great. I don't see any issues with the starting staff. I don't see that declining. I think we're very solid with Aaron Sanchez, Marcus Stroman, despite his bump in the road lately. Dickey's quality at the end is a 5-starter. Marco Estrada has pitched like a Cy Young. It's amazing to even throw those two words together. Marco Estrada and Cy Young, which I guess really is 4 words. But that's why I was 5 years in high school. So it's, and J. Happ, of course. That is a very solid rotation. Right now, it's the 7th best ERA in the major leagues. And that's probably where it will sit for the majority of the season. And if they do that, they have more than done their job for this team. They have more than done their end of the heavy lifting. So what about the offense? I see positives and I see negatives. I see areas for regression and I see areas where there's going to be some bounce. Russ Martin is still playing like shit. He had a decent little spell where he hit 3 home runs, drove in 6, and 30 at bats. But even since that span, he's only hitting about 250 in that ballpark, and that's dropping. On the season, what the fuck's he looking like? Russ Martin, 3 home runs, 14 RBIs, 11 runs scored in 151 at bats, 253 on base percentage, 518 OPS. What? 518 OPS? That's a third of the season done. I mean, from this point on, if he gets that OPS up to 700, from this point on, you can consider that a success because he's got a lot of work to do just to get up to 700. Jose Bautista is still Jose Bautista. I worry about his age. He stays in very good shape. He works very hard. You're seeing a little drop in the slugging percentage and the OPS. He's never been a terrific batting average guy. I mean, he's had one season, I think, where he hit 300, but otherwise, he's a 250, 260 hitter. Right now, he's at 230. If he keeps putting out the numbers he's putting out, which is walking a lot, still hitting home runs, driving in runs, 30 home run, 100 RBI season, 100 runs scored, 100 walks. He's going to repeat that. Fantastic. I don't give a shit what his batting average is. I don't even give a shit what his other numbers are. If he's producing the runs, that's fine. Eddie driving in runs. Top of maybe third in the majors. He's been very productive despite the 245 average, the 765 OPS. I think he's got some bounce. I think he'll actually get better, even though he's already doing very well in terms of production. not scoring a lot of runs, but that's not totally his fault. The guys hitting behind him are not driving him in as they should. He can only play a smaller role in that. Kevin Pillar's having a crappy start to the season. Great defense, but he's not hitting well. 246 average, a sub, 639 OPS, 2 home runs, 17 RBIs, and 207 at bats. Only scoring 20 runs, and he's thrown in 6 steals. I mean, he's our stolen base leader. I mean, what if he can give us his stats from last year again? That's fantastic. But he's got a way to go to get that. Josh Donaldson's been surprising with the batting average, but all of his other numbers are great. Not worried about him. Devin Travis, we still don't know what we're going to get from Devin Travis. Let's be honest about that. We're really excited about him. We're great and happy to have him back. He's off to a slowish start. Hitting 259, but just a 296 slugging percentage, 310 on base percentage. That's not going to get it done. So we don't know what we're going to get there. So we have a real issue hitting at second base. Okay, don't look at Darwin Barney and say he's the solution, because Darwin Barney is a career 254 hitter. 650 OPS. That's what he's going to be, despite the fact that he's hitting the shit out of the ball right now. That is not going to keep it up. So that's one of those areas where we're going to see some regression in Darwin Barney. We're going to see regression in Carrera coming off the bench. We're going to see regression in Michael Saunders, who's slugging he's got a 914 OPS. He's got a career 700 OPS coming into this season. We're going to see regression there. Justin Smoke, I think, is Justin Smoke. I'm happy with what he's doing. I don't see a lot of difference there. Troy Tulowitzki coming back. Troy Tulowitzki is probably the biggest question mark and probably the biggest cog in this offense that we need to get going, that we need to know he is going to be the slugger, the hitter that we need him to be. And it's really worrisome that he's not been at all. He's driven in he's driven in some runs, decent production. Not scoring many runs, but he's driving in a few. 23 ribbies and 167 at-bats. That's 46 games. You project that out at 162 games, which, of course, he won't play 162, but just for the fact of math fun, that's 81 RBIs. That's decent. That's not $20 million decent. That's shortstop decent, though. So, even if he keeps up that RBI production, he's got to lift the other numbers. He's got to be scoring more runs. He's got to be hitting the ball better, getting on base more. Ryan Goins, Josh Thole. I mean, let's not hope for a lot more from these guys. So the offense, which is 13th overall right now, and is just one run away from being tied with 11th overall. I don't see room for a lot of growth beyond that. I really don't. Just for the reasons that I pointed out. We're going to see regression from Darwin Barney. We're going to see regression from Carrera. We're going to see some bump from Russ Martin, it's assumed. We're going to see a bump from Troy Tulowitzki, it's assumed. Devin Travis, we don't know what we're going to get, so we'll just call him even. So we can see we can expect a little bit of bounce, a little bit from Eddie. We can expect a little bit of bounce from those three main guys, Martin, Tulowitzki, and Eddie, who's driving in a ton of runs. So he's, whether he gets better at RBIs or not is beside the point, really, because he's already doing great with RBI production. We'll see a little bit of bounce from those three guys. We'll see decline from Barney. We'll see decline from Carrera. We'll see decline from Michael Saunders. Justin Smoke can stay where he is. We should expect a little bit of bounce from Kevin Pillar. So we're going to see this offense come up a little bit, but I don't see much room for it to improve a whole lot more. The pitching staff, I can see staying about where it is. The starting staff is 7th overall, and I don't see that changing up or down. It's doing fantastic. The bullpen is doing fine. So if those guys can hold the fort where they are, the offense comes up a little bit, we'll get better as a team. However, I don't see us getting better as a team, better enough to be a playoff team. I just don't see it. There's not enough room for bounce in this team. We're not a 600 winning percentage team. Are we 550? Yeah, we probably could do a 550. I mean, what are we right now? What are we looking at? The team winning percentage at 29-26, 527. And Baltimore is second at 569. We're a 550 winning percentage. So let's just pretend for a second that is fact, okay? That we're a 550 winning percentage team, which would keep us in third place. Wouldn't get us to second, wouldn't get us to the wild card. And that's assuming the offensive bounce that we're going to see overall, and the pitching staff stays the same. Now you have to ask yourself the question, well, what do we go to? Where do we go to get help? And do you want to sacrifice the very few pieces we have on the farm to get that help to the major league roster? Do you want to trade away the pieces? The John Harrises? The Sean Reed Foleys? The Dalton Pompeys? The Anthony Alfords? Because we're going to need to package 2 or 3 of those guys for sure to solidify this team. Everybody talks about, well, look where we were last year. You know what? We were 100 and look where we were last year before we took off. Well, let's also remember that we were below 500 after 100 games. And the only reason that changed, and all of the people who say right now, look where we are, that'll change, be patient, and it will change a little bit. They all said that last year too. The Mike Wilners, the Andrew Stoutons, these guys. And none of it changed. And you know why? And when it did change, eventually, it was because of the trades. It was because Troy Tulowitzki came in, David Price came in, Lowe came in, Revere came in, Hawkins came in. We got a lot of weapons that we added. And it was only after that point that we improved. We don't have that option this year to deal with our holes. We do not have that option. And we don't have anything on the farm. Listen, so here's the scenario. If somebody says to you right now, do you want to sacrifice the farm for one more try? Because that's what this team has left in it. In the current makeup. The pitching staff is younger, and that's going to stay together for a few years, hopefully. But we'll have to redesign the offense in order to, run the two together so we get a longer playoff run. Right now, they're built for one more chance. So do you want to take our last bullets out of the farm and try to solidify that chance? I don't know if I do. Look, we're in the position, though, where we need to. Really. Are we going to be the Maple Leafs? Are we just going to aim for 500 and just be a little bit better than 500? And, oh, geez, well, that's what we're content with? I don't want that. I would rather just let it fucking... I would rather sell the pieces that we have. Sell the Batistas. Trade the Troy Tulowitzkis and redesign this offense to be more in line with the pitching staff in terms of age group and longevity. But it's built for now. You know, if we keep winning, then you almost have to go for it. You can't just add Paredes or Grilly and think that's going to get it done. You can't add those type of pieces. You need to add a big deadline player on the offense, preferably. Anyway, who knows what's going to happen? I just sit in my basement and spout off. But the boys are playing well. They're back at it tomorrow against Boston. Finish off a 12-game stretch against the Yankees and Boston, which they've done fantastic with. They're 7-2. Let's go 2-1 against Boston. Let's keep this thing rolling and just see what happens. I mean, you can only go from there, but I don't think anybody thinks this is a legit World Series contender. And I don't know how you can look at this team and think that, if you do think that. I would love to hear some comments as to why you would think that. Why this is a legit contender. Anyway, thank you for joining me. Talk to you later.